Hey, I'm Zach, and today I'm going to teach you how to arrange White Christmas as a chord melody for solo jazz guitar. Here's how it sounds. Okay, so when I try to arrange something like this for solo jazz guitar, there's two things I'm thinking about. Number one, I want to keep the melody on top and in the higher register. I want the melody to be really clear and for you to be able to sing along with it. And so that means I'm going to have to probably keep it on the high E and B strings. And secondly, I want to try to add some extra reharmonizations, some passing chords, especially on older songs like this. The chords are actually a little bit simple, so there's a lot of room to add some extra spice to the chords. Okay, now you can buy the transcription for my arrangement of White Christmas in the description of this video. And also I have a free PDF book of jazz guitar chord inversions. If you want to get more into this stuff, I think that can be really helpful. Now before I get started, I want to do a quick music theory lesson. There's two things I want to go over. The first is secondary dominance. So when I say 5 of something, what I mean by that is 5, a dominant chord of another chord in the key. So for instance, if I say 5 of 2, we're in the key of C major, the 2 chord is D minor. So what's the 5 of D? A. So I'm really saying a A7 to a D minor chord when I say 5 of 2. The second thing I want to go over is tritone subs. So tritone subs are really common and you hear about them a lot. And a tritone is the fundamental thing you need to learn about music theory. So let's take a G7 and resolve it to a C major. Now why that wants to resolve is because of the tritone between F and B. That's the 3rd and 7th of the chord. Now, if you go from G and you go a tritone away to D flat, it has the exact same 3rd and 7th that want to resolve, right? So tritone subs are super important, and I'm going to use them a lot in this chord melody. So let's get started, and here's the first few bars of this. Okay, so I'm keeping the melody on top. Here's the C major 7. Okay, and then we're going to do an A7 so that it's an A7 with a flat 13, and that's a 5 of 2, right? So A7 to D minor. To D minor, and the melody's on top of that D minor chord. And that's actually in the original song, that A flat 7 to G7. And that's a tritone sub. So it's just a half step above the chord you're going to. That's an easy way to think about tritone subs. But that's the melody. You got the flat, that F sharp up to G. Now for this next section, that's in the original song, I think, is just an F major 7 to G, right? So that's very typical, 4 to 5, or you could substitute a 2, you know, D minor, G7, 1, like a 2-5-1. But what we're going to do is we're going to reharmonize it, and we're going to add some extra chords in there and kind of compress them into those measures. So we're going to do a minor 2-5 to E minor. So we're going to start with F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7 to E minor. So here's how it sounds. Okay. Now we're on E minor and we got to get to G. So we're going to go E minor, E flat 7, keep that G on top, D minor, G. And we're back at the top of the phrase. So that's E minor, and then the E flat 7 is a tritone sub to D minor, just a half step above. D minor, and then G sus, back to the top of the phrase. So this G sus is really an F major triad over G, and that's a real common way for guitarists and pianists to play sus chords, because you need the fourth, right, of a G. But if you just go down a whole step from G to F, and then you play that triad on top, you get a sus chord, and you get like a sus 7 chord with a 9. It sounds real open and nice, and that's important because that fits the melody, right? So now let's go through the second part of the song. Okay, so what that is C major 7 to C7. So 5 of 4, we're keeping the melody on top, to 4, or F, to F minor. Okay, so, and then this is the last phrase. So C, C sharp diminished, D minor to G. And so the C sharp diminished there is really acting as an A7. So what a C sharp diminished and an A7 chord essentially share the same notes, but it's just an inversion, as how I think about it, of an A7. So if you take any dominant chord and you build a diminished off of the third or the fifth or the flat 7, it's the same notes, and so you can kind of get away with something like that. So, and then I'm doing a G sus to a G7 flat 9, and then the whole thing kind of repeats there. Okay, so C to A7, 5 of 2 to 2, A flat 7 to G, tritone sub. Then we're going to do the minor 2-5 to E minor, to E minor, E flat 7, that's a tritone sub, to D minor, to the G sus, the triad over the bass note, F over G, C7. Now this part we have to change because the melody goes up on the second half of the song. Now that's an F major 7, but it's a drop 2 voicing. And what a drop 2 voicing is let's take an F major 7, F, A, C, E, take the second note from the top and drop it an octave. Yeah, and drop 2 voicings are super useful on guitar. They just kind of lay on the fretboard well. And they also sound really open and beautiful, and I think it's because they're so spread out across the keyboard. And that's what this voicing is here. So F major 7, here's the third, we're gonna drop it down to F minor. And then this last phrase, may all your Christmases be white. And that's essentially the same thing as we did on the first half of the song. C, C sharp diminished, D minor. We're still keeping the melody on top though. So that the A to the B, that's the third of G, resolving to C. And then I do a little turnaround at the end. And I basically got that turnaround from Coltrane. I can't remember the tune, but I think he plays it on a blues with Kenny Burrell. And basically, it's a minor turnaround. So, but it sounds kind of nice when the whole song is in major and then the turnaround. Resolves to major. So really what that is C, B flat, A flat, G. So it's 1, flat 7, flat 6, 5, 1. Okay, so that's basically my arrangement of White Christmas for like a solo jazz guitar. You can buy the transcription at the link in the description of this video, and also my free jazz guitar chord melody arrangement book, and it's going to give you all the extensions and chord shapes that if you want to get more into this kind of playing. Anyway, thanks for watching.